Once upon a time, far back in the mountain forest, there was just such a place as this, a quiet temple inhabited by an old wise monk. From every quarter, pilgrims would come to ask for his guidance. Of all these, however, no pilgrim was worse off than a young man who appeared at the monastery that autumn morning. He was given the reputation of an overthinker, lost in the narrow lane of his mind. The fellow constantly worried about the future and evaluated every share of his past, never resting in peace in the present. His mind was as turbulent as a stormy ocean. He entered the modest quarters of the monk, bowed to the ground, and said, "Master, my mind just never seems to shut off. I am constantly evaluating every little thing. I'm thinking about what can go wrong or what's gone wrong, and sometimes I feel trapped in my mind. How can I find peace when the mind simply refuses to listen?" The monk smiled at him in such a warm way and gestured for the young man to follow him outdoors to the yard of the temple. They strolled together in silence, shared between them, through the gardens which surrounded this holy residence, until they reached a small calm stream that flowed through the forest. The monk bent down and picked from the ground a smooth round stone that he handed to the young man. "Do you see this stone?" asked the monk. The young man nodded. "Now, hold this stone in your hand and place it in the stream," instructed the monk. Confounded but obedient, the young man did as he was told. He placed the stone into the clear, running water. It sank to the bottom and lay there quite peaceful with the water flowing over and around. "Tell me," said the monk, "is the stone fighting the current?" The boy shook his head. "No, master. It just lies there letting the water pass by." The monk nodded. "Exactly. The stone does not fight the flow of the stream. It doesn't try to make partial changes in the current or to struggle with it. What it does is to lie in the water, allowing the stream to flow over it. This is how you must learn to deal with your thoughts." The young man furrowed his brow. "But master, my thoughts are not as simple as this stone. They pull me in every direction, and I feel like I'm drowning in them." The monk did not stop smiling at this. He was very patient and serene. "Thoughts are like the water of this stream. They originate from their source and keep on flowing. You merely cannot stop the flow of the stream, just as you might not be able to stop the flow of your thoughts. However, you can learn not to be swept away by them." The young man lowered his eyes to the stone in the brook, beginning to understand. "When you try to control the thoughts," he continued, "you are like someone who is trying to dam the river with his hands. The more you struggle, the more chaotic current comes. But if you allow your thoughts to flow without attaching to them, then you will find they have lost their power over you. Let them come and let them go, just as the water flows past the stone." He sat, looking at the stream in complete silence. The first time in years, a deep moistening quiet began to infiltrate inside him. It was not overthinking at issue, but rather his attachment to thoughts, every last one, that brought his suffering. He was fighting to subdue that which could never be tamed and only needed simply to let go and allow thought to transpire like the water over the stone. "Thank you, master," he said in a low voice. "I understand now. I will practice being like the stone in the stream." With one final smile, the monk extended his hand and patted the young man upon his shoulder. "Peace is not found in the lack of thought, but in between. You are the stone, remember, not the water." And with this, the monk turned back toward the temple, leaving the young man by the stream to watch the water flow gently by. From that day on, the young man practiced the art of letting go, and so finally found peace.